Hey there Internet, Keeve here, and welcome to the Cars of Keeve YouTube channel. In this video, we're going over yet another foam cannon. This is the NowWash, and you're gonna look at it, you're gonna say, hey, that looks a lot like the Raincovo. That's because it is the exact same thing, just different colors. We have our puke green with the cream white here versus the much more aesthetically pleasing, in my opinion, the red and the black. I'm always kind of wondering, is this a cheaper dye? Because you know, dyes have different prices. Maybe that's something to do with it. Crazy thing is they couldn't get that straw to be the same color as the top. It's like a neon green straw and the puke green top right there. So you're probably asking, well, then why are you looking at that? Well, it's because it comes with this little thing right here. And this is what they call an economizer. It's basically just a metering tip, a little ball there, almost like a little weighted ball, and it will go into the manifold where the straw goes in. This video is to see how effective this tip is. Can we fill up an entire foam cannon with soap and just spray and spray and spray and still be able to use about the same amount of soap than if we would have diluted it with water? Now, with my experience in the last couple months with metered foam cannons, the viscosity of the liquid, the thickness of the soap that you use has a lot to do with the pull rate when you're using these little metering tips right here, because the hole is so small that a thicker liquid has a much harder time being pulled through there versus just say a really thin watery type liquid soap. So from a just normal foam cannon perspective, this is going to operate the exact same way as the Raincovo. So I'll link below the video that I did on the Raincovo so you can see how it does with different pressure washers with different orifices, just doing a normal Incredible Suds dilution of 32:1. Now, is it an economizer? It's not really saving you soap. You're just using the same amount of soap. You're just using it in a different way. It's a more efficient process, but I don't know if I would call that economizer. As usual, the weighted ball was not cut to the right length on this right here. So what we will do is we will cut that real quick. 1/4 inch. Close. I'll cut off about 1/8 of an inch. There we go. You see how easily it falls to all sides. The ball is in the corner there. MJJC style manifold here. We have obviously your ability to turn your clockwise, vertical, or any orientation that you would prefer. Now up front here, this is really loose. This changes you from your stream to your wide spray fan. Let's fix that here in a second. You have your adjustment knob at top, fully to the right is max foam. M22 on the back. That gets you to your orifice. I measured that orifice. It's supposed to be a 1.25, but it measured about 1.18. So a little bit smaller than what they say. You obviously have that slightly tinted clear bottle that's actually pretty durable. You have markings on the side. There's our neon green straw, weighted ball at the bottom there. We also have dual threading, so you can thread in a soap bottle. There is the thread to where you can take this apart and easily get to your filter. Comes with an extra filter. Comes with a 1.1 orifice, and this measured exactly 1.1, so this one is very accurate. And then obviously the little metering tip. So unfortunately, I don't have a thin soap right now. Two soaps I currently have is Coach Kimmy GSF, and then we have Incredible Suds. This is a medium viscosity type soap. This is pretty common type of thickness of soap. Incredible Suds is on a spectrum that not too many soaps are at. Extremely thick soap, but a very good soap, a very concentrated soap. Usually GSF takes a little bit more product to get the same kind of foaming that the Incredible Suds can do. This you can find at Car Supplies Warehouse. Code KEEVE10 will save you 10%. Incredible Suds, DIY Detail, the House of Rags, code Cars of Keeve will save you 10% as well. Now for this video, I'm going to use this little test tube style bottle here that came with another foam cannon. We're using this straw and this weighted ball. I've already checked this weighted ball. Is the exact same one as that, exact same type of straw, exact same everything size-wise, diameter. So we're not, changing anything. We're just changing the size of the bottle because it wastes a lot of soap to fill this up enough to get that weighted ball in the soap. You could also put one of these bottles in there because we're dual threaded. Let's fix this real quick. So I have an O-ring kit here. You can get these on Amazon. Obviously there's a link, anything here that's on Amazon. But this kit right here, if you do O-rings all the time, these are well worth it. I think it's like 10 or 11 bucks, but it comes with 4 different picks. I use that pick to kind of pull on these tabs on the side here. It's easier to do this with the bottle off. I'll take my pick pull up. You heard that little click. Now I do the other side. We kind of want to hold this side and pull up just a little bit so that doesn't pop back in place. And then we'll just take this one right there, slide right off. And this is the O-ring we're talking about. See how small it is? It's basically not doing anything in there at all. We take our pick in there and then we'll remove that O-ring. We're going to replace this O-ring, which is slightly larger than this thicker one. So this one's going to stretch. See how much thicker it is? That's going to give us the tension that we're looking for. And you want to know the size. It's a 22 by 26 by 2. Place it over, basically doing the exact reverse of what I showed you up close. Then I'll put this over, pop it in place. Yeah. You could put a thicker one in there if we want better tension, but see the difference? See how it has that tension there to where now when we set it like this, accidental touching does not change how we had it set. Now let's get into the testing. But before we get to that, check the links below for anything in the video. Don't forget to like, comment, subscribe. Let's have some fun. So here is our setup. We're going to use 2 pressure washers. We have the Ryobi 1800 first. This is your lower end of the market. It's going to represent the majority of your pressure washers out there. Your Greenworks, your Sunjoes, your Karchers, your 1.2 gallon per minute machines. Uberflex hose, 2-2-look gun. We'll plug that in. We'll use that with the orifice that's in the foam cannon already. Then up top, we have the AR630 V2. So about double the flow performance of the Ryobi 1800. We have our fixed fans, retractable hose reel, our Blushield Kevlar hose with our 6mm gun there. So I made that decision to not change the orifices around because I kind of wanted to make sure that I got kind of the same playing field across the board. We're going to use that 1.18 because that's kind of a mix between a 1.1 and a 1.25. That gives that in that middle area. Let's try to bring you in a little bit closer. So I have right here a meter that goes on this garden hose right here. We have our Flexilla 5-inch 50-foot swivel grip hose, our Ely spray nozzle here with the shut off with the quick connects that I use in every video, and my Blushield reel here. All right, we have our stopwatch here. It's magnetic, so I can just set it up there. Reset our gallons to 0 here. All right, let's go. A minute 15. So pretty close to what I had said before. Usually I run 600 milliliters, but I usually soap the car a little bit too much. A minute 15, I think is about right. Let's try the metering tip, see what it does. That was 1.64 gallons. So this is how we install this little metering tip. You see the opening there? This metering tip just goes right in there like that. And then you place the straw over top of it. It gets stuck in the center of the straw, blocking the flow of soap and allowing only what to go through the narrow opening there. But it is a little, it's a little loose. So could products get around the edges? It's very possible if the suction is that strong. In that case, something like water is going to pull a little bit faster if that's the case, because the thicker soaps, the thicker liquids are going to have less chance of bypassing that area versus a thinner liquid. All right, here is with the metering tip. Four minutes, 29 seconds it took to empty that bottle, 5.93 gallons. So actually the stock manifold numbers is about what I was expecting, because this is MJJC type territory when it comes to dilution ratios. Because in the head, depending on the foam cannon, it can vary very widely. It was 11.46 to 1. Say like Boss, Active. Those are kind of up there, kind of closer to 15, sometimes up to 18 to 1, which is why sometimes those don't foam as well stock. All you have to do is adjust your water input, leave your soap the same, you know, to the difference between the two, and you're good to go. Now with that economizer in there, we're 43.89 to 1. So basically 44 to 1. So we definitely increased the amount of time that we can spray. Have we made up for the difference between a 32 to 1 dilution that I normally use to be able to use the same amount of liquid and get the same results? Not exactly, but the thickness of the soap does matter. Now I am going to say, with there only being 10 milliliters of solution in here with the GSF, that these numbers might not be as accurate as they could be, since it's not an extended period of time to get a better average, but this is going to give us a ballpark. All right, here we go. Wow. That was fast. I think I'm gonna have to use 30 milliliters because 10 is just too quick for me to be able to even get this done. I think that kind of already lets you know that there's no way you're going to be able to do a whole car with what's in this bottle right here. All right, let's try this again. About 22 seconds. 0.52 gallons. Now, all of our dilutions are based off of the gallons and off the clock because I could be off by a second or two, something like that. There's a little bit left at the bottom. It's just not sucking it in. So, I mean, this isn't a perfect science. In the end, it still came out to 64-1. So we did increase our dilution based off of the thickness of the soap. Man, I love those little pump dispensers that I have on the gallon jugs. Exactly 30 milliliters, or exactly basically 1 ounce, 29 point something. So here is our incredible Suds. Boy, the difference in the thickness of that soap. And we're fixing to make a really big spot of foam here. Ready? Here we go. Wow, a minute 48, we still have a little bit left. That's about the amount we left of GSF in there, so it kind of keeps that even. But that is way more than the minute and 15 that we expect for a car. And this proves why in the comments of some of the other videos that I did with the other metering tip videos that people got mixed results. Say it was too runny, too this, too that. The thickness of the soap matters a lot. All right, you guys, you got to see this. That's why my yard sometimes has little black mildew spots, because the soap runs off into the yard and dries. So after crunching the numbers, 300.5-1. We are extremely close to the dilution ratio that I would like to be for this. I would personally like to be at about 350-1. So maybe a little bit more water. And those are things that we can change. The AR630, we're going to see what the difference is, because that's going to be pushing through a lot more water, mixing in that head. What's that going to do? What's that going to change? The Ryobi, we're using, remember, the one that says it's 1.25, but it measured at 1.18. If we use the 1.1, we're using a smaller orifice. We're pushing less water through the manifold. Not only is our foam going to be thicker because of the pressure we're creating by going to a smaller orifice, we're also using more soap and less water. So our dilutions could change there as well. I'm not going to go through that because I don't want to make an hour-long video, but those are things that you want to think about when you're going to dial in your setup. Well, we are on the same playing field now. We have our Ely Quick Connect, so it's quicker. We're using the same water supply now, so I can use this meter. We are using a different hose diameter. That's the 3/8 hose versus the Uberflex, it's a 1/4 hose. So before, we were at minute 15 seconds to empty the bottle at 500 milliliters and 1.64 gallons. Let's see how many gallons we can do here. So here we go. So on a timing, it was a minute 14, but we're actually probably closer to a minute 20 because I was a little bit slow in getting that button to push. It was probably 3 or 4 seconds in, but we did use 1.96 gallons over that period of time versus the 1.64. All right, so we have the Economizer in here, and before it was 4 minutes, 29 seconds, 5.93 gallons. Oh, the time was the same. Like, what, maybe just a few seconds more. We're at 4:34. But we did use 7.08 gallons. So for any of you math heads out there, I figure I'm throwing enough in the video that it's not going to turn people away. 7.08 gallons. You have to times that by 3,785. That's how many milliliters there are in a gallon. 26,797. And what we do is we minus 500 milliliters, because that's our one dilution. Then we divide that by 500, and that gives us 52.59 or 52.6 dilution ratio. So we went from 44-1 to 53-1 basically. That is definitely an increase because the amount of water going through, but we're emptying the bottle probably basically the same amount of time. So I really want to check real quick what the amps are on this 1.18 on the AR630 V2. So 18.3, more than safe on a 20 amp circuit. A little bit higher than I want to use. I'd rather use a 1.25. All right, so this time around I'm doing incredible Suds first because the test tube was already, contaminated with incredible Suds. A lot easier this way. We have the Economizer in there, all set up and ready to go. Well, it was 2 minutes. This thing is still running, but it was at 2 minutes. And we did 3.1 gallons. So our dilution is definitely going to be different. 3.1 gallons times 37.85 minus 30 divided by 30. 390 to 1. That is where I want to be. You see, it went a little bit longer, but since we're pushing more water, even though it's very close in the same time frame, our dilution is much more what we want on the car. All right, here's our GSF. Is it gonna last? No, it's not probably. It might last a little bit longer, hopefully. Let's go ahead and find out our dilution here. Oh, 48 seconds. So we're closer to a full wash. I mean, if you were fast, we used 1.22 gallons. So a big change for GSF with the AR630 V2. We got way better dilution, 153 to 1. We more than doubled our water. We more than doubled our time frame of spraying. It's just the pool rate, the viscosity, the metering tip, all that. It just worked out better. And 40 seconds or so, normally I use 2 ounces of GSF if I'm going to use it to foam because it doesn't quite foam like the way I want it to at 1 ounce. So truly, that is enough to cover a whole car if you use the 2 full ounces. So, but it's still, 153 to 1. So it's costing you more because you're having to add more soap. Look at that foam. All right, we have 10 milliliters of GSF in here, just enough to kind of do the panel. We are using the AR630 V2. I'm not going to swap back to the Ryobi. We're just trying to see the consistency of the foam. It should be pretty close between the two, the orifice wise. Yeah, that's the good stuff. So if you wanted to run GSF with the AR630 V2 with this 1.18, 2 ounces is going to get you a whole car, probably. All right, so we have straight Incredible Suds in here. There's 2 ounces in the bottle. This kind of gives you an idea of what you could do. This is a DIY detail bottle. Don't know which one it is. I just remove the labels and I always just kind of clean them up. We're kind of testing here the pulsating. Is it okay? Is it covering just fine? This kind of shows you how the bottle is going to work. These flexible bottles, since they don't vent, is it going to suck closed? Is it going to collapse? That's one thing we want to test out overall. Yeah, you saw it was pulsating, but it doesn't matter. Look what it did. It covered great, nice and thick. We didn't put a dent at all in the amount of soap that was in our bottle. Bottle seems fine. Let's run it for a little bit with the bottle to see if it changes, if it sucks in or not. We're good on the bottle. It's not sucking through. You can see we have more than enough liquid still left. The weighted ball is just starting to show. So the economizer test, which is what I think they're trying to say there, is we're using our normal 32 to 1 solution of Incredible Suds. Like I said before, Cars with Keeves save 10% on the soap, DIY Detail, or the House of Rags. And then we'll rinse it off. Then we'll throw the economizer in here using the exact same solution that's still in this bottle. And then we'll spray it again. Is it that it's going to be close? Is it going to be the same? Is it economizing? That's what I'm talking about. All right, so we have the economizer in there. Yeah, see how runny it is? It's still actually kind of thick and building on itself, but you saw how much more I had to spray to get that to happen. I would say it's slightly better than I thought, but I do think that if I was to change the dilution, I would get the same thing. But I guess the economizer keeps you from having to change your habits and leave it the way it is. All right, so a demonstration here. This is Incredible Suds 96 to 1. This is basically what the economizer is doing. Let's see if they're the same. Just goes to show you, like, the economizer really to me doesn't mean much in that sense because I'm diluting anyway. I'll just change my dilution. As a metering tip, these are really good. And if we could find these in different sizes and the ability to change and adjust to where we can use concentrated soap in a smaller bottle to make the weight less here and make everything less cumbersome, and maybe go 10 or 20 washes without ever having to touch the soap in the bottle. That's kind of what Ryobi did with the Boss Foam Cannon. And these are only like 30 bucks right now. I think it's like $26.50 with a coupon. So if you wanted a slightly cheaper Rain Kovo, this is the way to go. I didn't drop it, but the Rain Kovo video, like I said, I'll link it below. We dropped it in our exact same bottle. Everything is the exact same. So that'll give you what you need. So don't forget to check the links below for anything in the video. Don't forget to like, comment, subscribe. I'll see you in the next video. And people do use full dual metering foam cannons, like full, and a lot of foam cannons like the Boss, and people do, and say for instance, the, how long it takes me an hour. So based off of our number earlier we have our Ely 5/8, we have our Ely pull rate with the medium, all right, so this time around,